Hey everybody, happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you are having a fantastic weekend. Apologies for the noise. We've got 2 military jets that just flew over the house. I hope everything's okay. There are some stationed at the local airport though, so they do kind of make lots of flights around these parts. Anyway, I hope that if you are coming back to work after the Thanksgiving break, you had a peaceful return to work. I know that I did publish a Thanksgiving episode last Sunday, but this is the first episode that I've published since before Thanksgiving because I filmed everything in advance. So yeah, I really enjoyed reading your comments about what you were thankful for this year. Some of you were really wonderful and said that you were thankful for us. So thank you. We're thankful for you. And yeah, I hope you had a good time. Anyway, today we're going to go back to more normal topics for the channel, and obviously we're going to be focusing on a topic that is kind of focused towards EVs but does kind of encompass the whole auto industry, and that is the problem of parts availability. So as I'm sure you know, we regularly get vehicles to borrow. Car companies operate in the US through fleet operators, fleet services companies, who then farm those vehicles out to journalists who have them for a week or so, get to put them through their paces, test drive them, make nice reviews or videos or whatever. We make the videos. Some journalists just write print reviews and take pretty pictures. But either way, it is a fairly important part of our job, right? Although we go to press launch events where we're given a car, sometimes for an hour, sometimes for a day, and we are given the opportunity to get our first drive impressions, that's not the same as living with a vehicle for a week. And so for us, these week-long loan periods are really important for us because they allow us to try and recreate a more normal situation of driving. And as you have probably noticed, sometimes we can go on a launch event and think a car is really great and then get it for a week and go, actually, we were wrong. Or sometimes it's the other way around. We'll get a car on a launch event, it will bug us for a day, but then after we've had a chance to learn some of its quirks and features, we're all about it and don't want to hand it up at the end of the loan period. And this coming week, we were due to get the Volkswagen ID Buzz, but unfortunately, it's in the shop. I found out very late yesterday evening, and so we're not going to be able to get that next week as originally planned, and we're going to be getting a different EV to review instead. Luckily, they had a different vehicle on fleet that would work for us. But the Volkswagen ID Buzz apparently is currently at the dealer because it needs something doing to it. And there was talk of parts and parts availability and them not knowing when the parts were going to be in to allow the repair to go on. And that's become something of a trend in the industry. And it's not just EVs. I've seen this happen to hybrids, plug-in hybrids, hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, EVs, and internal combustion engine models. The idea that when a vehicle goes wrong, sometimes you don't know when those parts are going to be available. Now, we would like to hope that when a new vehicle launches, the automakers hold off launching it until there is a sizable amount of parts available to help expedite any repairs that might be required further down the line. The reality with EVs, though, is that EVs represent a pretty high investment on the part of the automaker, and so the automaker is very often incentivized by their bottom line to make as many of that vehicle as possible and push it out the door quickly, while not necessarily building up a healthy parts supply. This is a problem that we've seen all the way back to kind of 2010. It was exacerbated for Japanese market cars in 2011 when the tsunami and earthquake from Fukushima hit. And then obviously it was exacerbated really badly on a global scale when COVID-19 came along. And we're still recovering from that. We've still got some parts shortages of certain things in the industry, partly because a lot of microprocessors are ordered years in advance. And so the fabrication facilities have already committed to making parts for other companies that the automakers said they didn't want, and now they do. So that can sometimes cause problems. Of course, the other issue when we're talking about EVs and modern cars in general with their connected technologies is that they are now being built with components that become old pretty quickly. That's not to say they stop working or they're no longer something that you would necessarily want in your vehicle. It's just that the parts, the iterative design process and the generational leaps can be pretty extensive between one model year and the next. I mean, only you have to look at some of Tesla's vehicles to see how quickly and how frequently those parts change between different vehicles of the same model year, which can be a bit of a headache when it comes to parts supply. So today I have a pretty simple question. Is it time that automakers are forced to have a given parts supply solution before they launch a new vehicle? I'm not talking about issues with like a major recall campaign. For example, many automakers, Chevrolet has had it, many others have had it, Nissan are currently going through it, have battery pack recalls, right? Where it's an entire model year of car and you're talking about recalls in the orders of 10, 20, 30, 40,000 vehicles, sometimes more. When a recall is large enough, sure, no one can expect an automaker to have that many spare parts on hand. But when it's something that is fairly common, that might be fairly low budget, shouldn't automakers have plans in motion before they even hand over the keys to the first customer that says, okay, yeah, if something goes wrong with this part, we can replace it? Because I don't feel like that's happened in any great way in the last 10, 15 years. I know when there was a recall campaign on my F-150 Lightning, the rear light bar needed to be replaced, and waiting for parts for that took quite a while. We know that Ford was manufacturing those parts for vehicles on the production line. And the question then becomes, should a certain percentage of those parts be shuttled off for existing customers rather than just continuing to make more models, especially in the case of the F-150 Lightning, which, as many of you will know, hasn't had super great sales figures of late, and they're actually paused production at the Rouge until January to just kind of try and balance things out a bit. We've also seen that problem with Tesla, with the Cybertruck, you know, waiting for parts to arrive seems to have taken longer than you would perhaps expect for a more established in-production vehicle. You compare that to something like my Chevrolet Bolt. Battery pack recall aside, if there is something that goes wrong with my Chevrolet Bolt and I need a new panel or I need a new part, I can generally go down to my local Chevrolet dealer, say, hey, here's the part number, can you get it for me? And it will arrive in a few days, maybe a week at most. And it's really easy to get those spare parts and put them on. I mean, the last thing I did to my my partner's Bolt was put on a new front trim piece. And that arrived from an eBay seller, I think in like 4 days. It was pretty quick, and then actually sat in my house for 6 months before I got around to putting it on. But that's a me problem, not anything else. But if you are waiting, if you just bought a brand new car and something is wrong with it, something breaks or something needs to be replaced, shouldn't there be an expectation that automakers actually put a little bit more effort to making sure that there is a substantial supply chain in place to keep those parts in stock and prioritize existing customers over just rolling out new vehicles? I cannot think of a single mainstream manufacturer today, or in fact, a specialist EV company, or indeed an EV startup, that has been able to deal with a customer who's just bought a new vehicle and required a replacement part in quick order. Normally it's a couple of weeks, sometimes it can be a couple of months. Rivian and Tesla have been notorious in the past for having multi-month long waits for certain in-demand parts. That's not okay. And it's not okay if it's a specialist EV company like Tesla or Rivian, or indeed if it's one of the the traditional legacy automakers like Ford or Volkswagen. So isn't it time that we start demanding more of these automakers and say, hey, you cannot sell these vehicles until you've got all the parts that this vehicle could conceivably need in normal everyday operation. I'm talking about things like replacement bumpers, replacement wheels. They very often get damaged in accidents. Lights, both rear and front, and maybe pieces of glass that could conceivably quite easily get damaged or broken. You must have at least N number of those in stock when you start the sales process. And if you don't have those items in stock, the cars can't be sold. I think that would be a smarter way of solving this. It would also be a quicker way of ensuring that customers are happier with their vehicles for longer. And it would also eliminate those horror stories that we are so used to hearing in the EV world, where someone buys a brand new car, something goes wrong with it within a first week, and then they're left either driving a petrol loaner car or perhaps not even having a car, while their pride and joy that they are paying money for, maybe through a loan or a lease, sits on a dealer forecourt and gets forgotten about for months at a time. Let me know your thoughts in the down below. And if you haven't already watched this weekend's Chicken and Garden update, I highly recommend you do, even if you are not into the whole chicken and garden thing, because Charlie the rooster, well, he was protector of the flock this week. That's all I'm going to say. Thanks for joining me today, and if you've got thoughts, make sure you leave them in our Discord chat room, on our Patreon page, or you can reach out to us using Mastodon or Blue Sky. Thanks to the amazing list of people scrolling by on your screen right now. They are some of more than 1,500 people who help fund this channel using Patreon and YouTube, helping us cover our bills, pay our team, and making sure that we can remain 100% independent. If you'd like to join them and see your name listed here, just follow the links below. There are a range of different tiers you can sign up for, from as little as $1 a month, or if you pay yearly, just under $11 a year. We've had so many headaches with our credit list in the last few months. I'm sorry, it's been down to a non-functioning program we were using to pull the list out, but today's list has been manually generated, so please do let us know if you're not on there and should be. We are, after all, only human-ish. A huge welcome to our newest supporters: Steve Abernathy, Mike Nichols, Zach Kane, Philip Atkins, Kat, Rob Thomas, Ryan S., Laura, Jay Alor, Celia Gonzalez, France G. France, Nicole Huang, oh yeah, Pedro Huget, Duran Valentine, Winfred Gerlach, John Trindle, Sarah Hendrika Biketon, Edward Kufka, Stephen Beatty, Jonathan Rees, MJY, Owen Patrick, and Gail Jackson. To join the list and get your shout out, become a paid Patreon member for your moment of fame. And remember, you can also now gift membership to someone else. If you'd like to support us with a one-off donation, you'll find links below to make Ko-fi and Bitcoin donations. And we even have an old-fashioned PO box you can reach us at. The address is listed below. And if you're in need of some swag, you'll find our swag store also in the down below. We've got some fantastic content coming up, so make sure you're subscribed on PeerTube or YouTube, and we'll see you very soon. We make new videos every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. If you want more, the mighty algorithm thinks you'll like this video, but we also think that you should look at this one. See you soon, and as always, keep evolving!